As we disclosed, as soon as we found out yesterday evening, the limousine driver tested positive yesterday, as did his wife, the household contact. But we can further update you this morning to say that a woman of 70 years of age who also was at the Bell Cafe on New South Head Road in Vaucluse has also tested positive. So it's really, really important for everybody in the eastern suburbs or everybody who may have attended any of those venues to follow the health advice. If it is deemed to be a close contact of any of those venues, you need to get tested and stay home and isolate 14 days, no questions asked. In addition to that additional case this morning, we also have a gentleman in his 40s who has tested positive in the Baulkham Hills area. However, health is still determining whether it's a false positive or an old case, as the viral load in his system was very low. So on that basis, it could be a false positive or else it could be an old case, and as yet unrelated to the eastern suburbs cluster. But having said that, health will provide confirmation of those details. In relation to health advice of people in eastern Sydney and greater Sydney, we're asking everybody to be extra careful. If you're in the eastern suburbs, unless you absolutely have to attend a large gathering, unless you absolutely have to engage in activities of a social nature in the next few days, we ask everybody to refrain from that, to be extra careful, to make sure you hand sanitise, you socially distance. If you're catching public transport, we recommend people wear a mask. So at this stage, we're all on high alert, but we're asking people to modify their activity, to consider where they've been, what their movements have been and what the movements may be, until the next few days, we go through the next few days as the situation is evolving. This morning, Minister Hazzard, Deputy Commissioner Warboys and Dr Chant obviously will give updates in their respective responsibility areas. I can say at the outset that police are investigating as to whether the limousine driver complied with the existing health orders, and that's the police investigation that will determine to what extent that driver complied with existing health orders, which is very important. We know in New South Wales, no matter how good any system is, no system is perfect and no system is foolproof against the pandemic. Yesterday I received updated information to say that in relation to people coming through Sydney Airport, we now have nearly 60% of those people not from New South Wales. Because Victoria's been out of action, other states aren't doing their fair share. New South Wales is welcoming home 60% of people who are from other states. The exact figure is 58%. So we are carrying a large burden, and every system carries risk in a pandemic. We accept that. But what will be measured by is our response to it, and to make sure that we continue to have public safety first, but also keep the economy open and our jobs going. So at this stage, all we're asking people to do is to be on extra high alert, especially if you're in and around the eastern suburbs. The eastern suburbs community has been through this before and responded really positively. We're asking them to do that again. Please make sure you get tested if you've been to any of those venues, or if you have any symptoms whatsoever. Please follow the health advice strictly. Some of those venues that they've been listed on the health advice or listed on the health website have been deemed to be close contact. So if you've been at any of those venues at a particular time, you should be at home isolating as we speak. You shouldn't be outdoors. You shouldn't be engaging with everybody. Pleasingly, as Dr Chant will say, the driver's close family contacts who he had some contact with, I think there were 4 of them, have proved to be negative, and some of his work colleagues who've been tested are also negative. But that's not to say we can be complacent, quite the contrary. Given the crossover point of the 70-year-old woman at the Bell Cafe on New South Head Road, it demonstrates that the virus is contagious, that all of us have to be on alert, but we're asking everybody to take those precautions you've taken before. Socially distance, make sure you hand sanitise, make sure you don't engage in any activity with large gatherings unless you absolutely have to, and just be extra cautious. Assume that everybody you're in contact with has the virus, and assume you have the virus yourself, and that is the best advice we can give you as the next few days unfold.